What's up, guys? It's Angel. Welcome back, part 7. Today, we're going to touch on something that is personal to me, that is near and dear. We're going to talk about my transition and what led up to my transition and how I got to where I am and why my transition was impactful on my spiritual journey. Now, keep in mind, we'll be going more in depth with this in another conversation on a podcast that I'm on. So, I'm only going to touch on it a little bit. So, if you're interested in the full story and the breakdown, then I'm going to give you the name of the podcast called Souls on Tap. It will air probably next month, but I'll be going in depth. But I want to touch on this a little bit, okay? So my transition did not start when I was older. My transition started when I was younger, right? I've always felt like I was in the wrong body. So growing up, I can remember seeing different versions of me as a male. This is a male. This is a male. Even coming into this world, they thought I was a male, but I ended up being a female. My mom talks about that sometimes. So this wasn't something that I decided to do because it's what I wanted. It's because that's what my soul resonated with, my divine masculine. I was always been very divine masculine. You could tell by my shoulders. My shoulders are very broad. I'm very strong. I'm very athletic. I have a very athletic built body. I'm extremely masculine built. Always have been. I can remember being younger and I played with my male cousins because I was a lot stronger. I didn't play with a lot of the females. I always played with any sport, most sports with males. Other than when I went through school, of course. I played basketball and softball and ran track, but I was faster. I was stronger than most. I was never really considered to be weak. And it was just natural to me. Even the size of my arms are natural. Like, my arms are naturally built. Naturally, so it was, my body was saying male. My soul was saying divine masculine, but I was in a female body, and I could not, it never sat right with me. Growing up, I didn't wear dresses. I wore boy clothes. I played with male toys. Always had an interest in just being a male. That's what I identified as. So that was what my soul was calling out to me too. And let me break this down. People are like, well, how's your soul? Our soul has no gender, right? It only is both male and feminine. So most of my past lives have been in a divine masculine body. So that's what my soul was used to. But my vessel this time was in a divine feminine. So it did not resonate with that. It did not sit with me. Like, I was struggling with that in that aspect. Not so much that it inhibited anything in my life or changed anything, but I just knew deep down that I never felt as I was a female. So I always presented myself as masculine no matter what. I even had masculine features for a long time. Like, this has always been much of my face hair, but I would shave it, or I would shave it off. When I go get a haircut, I would shave it off. I've always wore a low haircut or dreads or, a mohawk. I've never, when I was younger, I had really long hair, but for the most part, I've always had short hair. Like, I've always kept it cut. I cannot remember the last time I had long, other than my dreads, long hair. So growing up, it's always been who I was. So I always felt like by being in a feminine body, I was in the wrong body. I never resonated with that body. It never resonated with me. It never sat with me. So, I went through the military. Of course, when I went in the military, it was Don't Ask, Don't Tell. I went in as a straight female. Later on, the policy changed. I got out the military, and then maybe 7 years ago is when I started my transition, which was really interesting on my transition because I felt like once I transitioned into my divine masculine self, then the divine feminine and the divine masculine actually masked. It worked together. It was like I wasn't confused about which body I could be in, and I was embracing both. I expressed myself outwardly sometimes in a very divine feminine way, but my vessel feels of a divine masculine. And I'm okay with that. So it's who I am. Like, I have the emotional side, the creativity, all of those things are expressed through me if you're talking to me or working with me, the compassion, my heart center. But I prefer this divine masculine look. It's who I am. So through this transition, it was not hard coming out. When I came out, nobody was surprised. Everybody kind of looked at me like, we thought you had already done that. Like, nobody was surprised. Nobody was like, oh my gosh, I can't. It was like, didn't you, I got, the question I got the most was, didn't you already do that? Or you just now, wait, they were confused, like, huh? So that was a breath of fresh air. I'm glad to have really supportive friends and family. But that goes to show you that they've always identified or seen me as more of a divine masculine, more of a male. I can remember before I transitioned going into bathrooms, and women would be like, "You're in the wrong bathroom," and I would have to show my ID, like, "No, that I'm a female." Like, it was insane. So that was a part of my spiritual journey. It really helped me hone in on like a lot of past lives and understand past lives. I know people are like, "It shouldn't matter." It doesn't. But for me, on this journey, I felt like it was a part of my journey. So I noticed when I started transitioning, my spiritual side started awakening. I started remembering more, seeing more past lives. I started understanding more because I had so many past lives as a divine masculine. I seen, I started seeing that. And I know it's like, that is interesting. It was. I went all the way back to my galactic life, and everything outside of Earth is a light being, but even beings that have come to Earth are light beings. So this was probably the most least traumatizing part of my journey. It's been more traumatizing coming from people who don't know me, but even then, people who don't know me, they're like, "Oh, it fits you. That makes sense." Seeing my soul, they resonate. It's like, "Well, that makes sense for you. I can see why you did that." Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that makes sense. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that in my journey into my transition and why I transitioned. But even to this day, it does not matter what you call me, because sometimes I may present myself in a more of a divine feminine. That's the energy that's coming through. Sometimes I present myself in a divine masculine. That's the energy that's coming through. I just let the energy flow however it is. So some people might say "ma'am" and I don't get upset. Some people say "sir" and I don't get upset, because I know energy has no gender. It's both masculine and feminine. Just like a car battery, you got positive and negative, hot and cold water. It's still the same. It's still energy. It's only separated by a few degrees. So that's kind of what it was with my transition. So I understood that on a soul level. So my transition was a soul level for sure. With that being said, I ask my guys all the time, and source God, why did I come in as a female? And it was to be different, because I'm different in who I am. I'm different in the way that I am. I'm different in the way that I teach. I'm different in the way that I mentor. But it helps. I'm feeling like this is a release of my throat chakra, because I've never talked about this. So as you can tell, my voice is like releasing this. Everything about me is different, but it has the same message. Like when I do readings, I read energy. I read your chakras. I read your aura. I talk with your higher self. I don't use tools. The same as with when family members come through. I'm reading their energy. So I would say I'm not the same, but I am my own standard. I set the standard for myself and no one else. Because it's my standard, and it's my journey, and it's my perception, and it's my reality. So I absolutely love who I am. I love who I've become. I love who I've grown into. And that is the best part of my journey. So if you took 8 minutes out of your day to watch this video, thank you so much. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like. What I want you to know is that it's okay to be different. Being different does not mean that you're... Me and this hat having a fight, can y'all tell? Being different does not mean that there's something wrong with you. Being different means you're standing in your own unconditional love. It means you're standing in your own journeys. It means you're standing in who you truly are. So don't be afraid to be different. Embrace who you are. Love who you are. Express who you are. And do it with unconditional love. No one has to accept you. Only you have to love you. And that's important. So, and I love me. So with that being said, if you found this video helpful, if you found it informative, then feel free to message me or email me. Thank you guys for taking the time to listen and watch, and I will talk to you later. I will give you more of my journey. Y'all have a great day.